So, let's talk about Palia. So first of all, what is it? Well, it is called a massively multiplayer community simulation game set in a brand new high fantasy world with elements of open world adventure games. Then, in essence, it is a game comparable to Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, and Harvest Moon type games. Of course, with the big difference that this is an MMO, and it is in a 3D world and in a third-person perspective. So, what do you do in this game? So like in most of these games, you start the game and you are given a plot of land, and from there you are pretty much free to do whatever you want, with most of your time being focused probably on gathering resources in order to craft and decorate your house. And of course, this would not be a community sim without the whole befriending different NPCs side of the game. This game will also feature some exploration, probably in order to find new and exciting resources, and it will give you a glider that you can deploy pretty much at any time, which is always something that I look forward in games. This game also has a story, with the main plot being that in this world humans used to exist, but disappeared, and now a bunch of different humans, us, the players, are reappearing in the world. And this story is not set in stone. They are calling it an evolving story, and their plan is going to be to evolve it and progress it as the game goes. So yeah, this is basically the introduction of what the game is, and pretty much everything we can be, to some extent, sure that the game is going to be. So, for some other information from other sources, so I guess let's mention first the fact that there has been a pre-alpha already, and I would assume that we can expect another one pretty soon. Of course, all of these are completely under NDA. I did not participate in it either, so there's not too much information getting out of those. It's mostly for the developers, well, to test things out. From what you can probably find, it does seem like the people that actually played it were quite happy with the experience. The developers actually apologize due to the fact that a lot of people could not actually enter the pre-alpha, and the testing was quite small number of players. Other than that, other information that we can take is that, and that most of the time was spent in crafting, decorating, and gathering resources. So nothing too crazy out there. So outside of the pre-alpha information, they also have a Discord, and they have been answering a bunch of questions there, and someone was very kind to compile all of that information in one big document that you can check out, and I'll put the link in the description. And from that document, one of the things that you can pretty much find out is that, one of the points is that there is no combat whatsoever, like I mentioned before, and that they're really going for a pleasant experience, and they're trying to really remove everything that could be seen as frustrating or annoying. So one of the examples they say, for example, is the fact that at the beginning they had a stamina system stamina system that you would consume whenever you cut trees, for example, and that would end up being disliked inside of the team, so therefore they just removed it. So no stamina, you can just cut trees as much as you want. Another thing is that there is no health or death at all, so they're really going for that pleasant, nice and chill experience. And with this, they also have a very much, since it's an MMO and we know how players are, they have pretty much a no griefing policy. And the way they are avoiding this is whenever they find a way that griefing could be possible, by blocking paths, maybe moving furniture or others, they always try to find a way to patch it so that griefing is not possible. What they say as well is that all the things that you could modify or they could impact other players would always be either that it actually doesn't impact the other player or that you're actually helping them. So really going forward on that no griefing policy. So then, what are my expectations and what are the things that I'd like to see in this game? So first, because it's a game in a similar vein as Stardew Valley, one of the things that I don't like too much in Stardew Valley, although it is quite bearable to some extent, is the fact that although it is a chill game and it's all about, doing the things you want, a lot of the time of the day passes too fast, and it seems like it adds like a level of stress in that game that I don't like. One of the first things that I tend to do when I play again is simply increase how long the days are, so I have time to pretty much do everything I want in that day instead of having that pressure constantly. So I really hope that they really achieve this level of chillness, this level of non-stress. So another thing I would like to see is I would like to see this game to have some kind of incentive that will make the players attempt to synchronize, to cooperate in order to really create a sense of community. And what I mean by this is have the different players specialize in specific skills, in specific craftings, in order to really synergize with the other players. So for example, the way I would see it is having some kind of economy that will make it so that if there's a lot of lumberjacks, a lot of farmers in a settlement, in a kind of area, that it would be more beneficial for a new player, for example, to become a smith. And therefore, as time goes on, different players will take different professions in order to kind of fill the gaps of the community they're in. And how would they do this? Of course, they could have some kind of economy system where the more a player sells something, the more the different players are crafting a specific item, that item will cost less or something. And also simply, or having, offering different rewards if things are more rare. But as well, simply having in some type of a deep grind in specific skills. Therefore, even though you could progress in all of the different craftings, it would take too much time, and therefore specializing in one would make more sense. And in that sense, if you know that a player of yours is already becoming a smith, it might be more beneficial, since you can already get the items from him. It would be more beneficial for you and for him that you become something else. And I do believe they mentioned some of this. I believe one of the developers in the Q&A said something like that their family already had somewhat of a decided role for each of them. So I believe they have some incentive or some idea into going towards that. And I think it could be quite interesting. And again, it would really add this kind of sense of community. And lastly, a little bit of a more touchy subject, but I think I would like to mention and maybe give a little bit of my impression on how it should be done. It's, well, the monetization for this game. Apparently they are not at all set on anything. They're still thinking about how to do it. But one of the things I would really go against is, in a game like this, although in other MMOs and in other games, I would be for having monetized cosmetics. In a game like this, in a game so focused on actually decorating and really making your character look the way you want it, monetizing cosmetics is really the last thing you want, because the whole purpose of the game should be about decoration, and locking that kind of content in a paywall would not benefit the game whatsoever. So for me, they should go either two ways. There's two ways that they could go for. Either a pay-to-play system, where you buy the game first and then you play as much as you want. Which, of course, this obviously has the problem that since this game is an MMO, we will have continuous development. they still need some type of revenue, of constant revenue, in order to keep working on the game. So then they could add simply, well, DLCs every once in a while and and expansions that would allow them to receive some extra revenue throughout the years. But these kind of could end up being tedious. What does it happen if you don't have the last expansion? Are you just locked out of certain content? Could be not very nice for certain players. So of course the other option is having the game as a service, therefore having a monthly fee. I believe this would be the best option. Of course, the problem with this as well is that players who don't necessarily plan on playing the game too much will feel that they will not get their money's worth whenever paying a monthly subscription. So that can also be quite frustrating and maybe not fit the game either too well. So what I propose, although it is, out of nowhere, is maybe a system where you pay for time in the game. So some type of monthly subscription, but instead of being something that you're paying monthly, you pay for a certain amount of hours in the game, with of course having the typical bundles where the more hours you buy, the less it costs per hour. I think these could be kind of like a compromise between a monthly system and a pay-to-play system, and maybe would fit this game a little bit better. I don't know, monetization is always like a touchy subject, and there's never a perfect option. But again, what I really want to insist in this case is that I really disagree that in a game like this, monetizing cosmetics should definitely not be a thing. Having a game focused on decorating and on looking a certain way, you cannot make that part of the game paid or locked behind a paywall. So that's all for me. There's more things that we could talk about this game. I'm pretty much looking forward to it. Hopefully I'll be able to play it soon. We'll see whenever the next beta or potentially open beta will be. So yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.